Welcome to the Business Women Australia online mastermind. Today we are going to be in for a real treat, and we are going to be learning about how to be conscious leaders and communicate in ways that are really important in today's world. But before we go on to our masterclass, I'm going to just acknowledge this beautiful country in which we're all meeting. I'm in the lands of the Noongar people here and on the west coast of the continent. I'd like to acknowledge Indigenous elders past, present, and those emerging. They've lived, danced, celebrated, they've told stories, they've fished these beautiful waters for tens of thousands of continuous years. Our partners and sponsors, we could not do what we do without them. And we have the lovely Vida, Carlino on the call today, who has provided us with a home for many years, for decades now. We have co-hosted events that have been gorgeous and have really shaped this growth in the way that we do things and the culture that we have in Business Women Australia. And some of you are new to our community that are on the call today. And I think what you'll find is that it really is a place of practice and of shaping our conscious skills and our self-awareness as leaders in our lives, in our communities, in our workplaces, in our homes. Thanks to LG Accounting Solutions, our bookkeepers and accountants, who they are extraordinary what they do for us, and helping me with sort of the strategic work that we do. So yes, we're all about raising the visibility of women, but also creating an opportunity for women to get together in smaller groups, in roundtables, where we can actually unpack things that are important to us, to share our knowledge. The brain's trust is in the group, and we source all our program and specialist knowledge experts and leaders, thought leaders from within our community. And we have this real focus on mixing it up. It's cross-sector, it's cross-state. We have women who are business owners, we have women who are executives, professionals, women on boards, women who want to be on boards, women who want to get off boards. We've got it all. And we focus a lot on everything that we do around living our values, around being honest and courageous, being authentic and leaning into our vulnerabilities, being open-minded and non-judgmental, and having that care for each other and for ourselves. And I think one of the things that's really coming up to be one of the big pillars of development going forward is around this personal growth piece, leading self in order to develop our awareness of self and others. Our wonderful board, and we have some board members on the call today with Kerry Nobes here, Sonia Georgievsky, Vicky Wu. I think I've got everyone. I'm not sure if there's any more board members who could make it today, but incredibly lucky to have these advisors around me. And we've found, looking into the data, that Business Women Australia is sitting on a gold mine, really. I mean, there's massive reach. And that excites me because it helps me achieve this goal of amplifying women in leadership roles. Ordinary, everyday women, we're not necessarily racing to be selling from the stage or getting known for our brands in that regard, although those women are also welcome. But it's women doing everyday extraordinary things in workplaces, in communities, in their lives, that I'm really excited about raising their brands and showcasing what we're all about and how we do things differently. And our reach is extraordinary. We're getting such an incredible reach across all our different social media platforms and in everything that we do. And I think a part of it is because we've got such a busy calendar. So, and we've got our fantastic podcast. So on the 12th of November, I've got the fabulous Nicola Watts. We're going to be diving into BFAs. For those of you who are interested in that whole world of prenup, protecting legacy, and looking at binding financial agreements as a way of actually creating conversations within your families that are really positive and build relationships and build understandings. this is what we're actually looking at, how these financial agreements are being used in families to protect things that are separate to a couple that come into perhaps a family where there's significant wealth. On the 11th of February, the fantastic Emma McKissick is sharing her bowel cancer story. She's a young executive. I've been connected with her. She's been a part of our community for years and years, and it was a real shock when she was diagnosed with bowel cancer. She's been given the all clear, but she wants to share her story and raise that awareness around how even this can be a young person's challenge. Brisbane, end of year roundtable lunch. We've got 18 women in the boardroom at Tattersalls. I can imagine the old fellas are rolling in their graves. Helen, Nan and Tracy Cooper are actually hosting that. And it's not true because the new generation of Tattersalls Club people are very open to women getting on board. So it's really exciting to see these old places that were the bastions of power and male privilege are actually got women like Tracy and Helen hosting an all women's roundtable lunch. I just think that's super exciting. Melbourne, end of year roundtable. Oh, they've got their roundtable lunch on why mindset matters this week. Sonia's on the call. She will be racing off to the car, but Sonia and Wendy are hosting that on the 14th. That's this week on Friday, and their end of year celebrations at the Garden State Hotel next week on the 19th. Back online for the last Thursday of the month as we do meet. We won't be meeting in December, but in November we're doing LinkedIn Confidence, and Kerry Nobes is on the call, and she's joining forces with our LinkedIn resident expert, Mamie Homer. So if that's something that you would like to talk about, jump online for that 27th of November. It's a Thursday. The Sydney end of year wellbeing experience, they're doing their celebration at Wellbeing Centre with Ronnie, Alicia and Wendy hosting that. And the 2nd of December, the last of this year's online Change Leaders Cafe conversations that Wendy, our advisory board host, is actually chairing that one. And that's a really good one to actually go in and discuss and learn about the inner development capacities that we're actually lining everything that we're doing with as a part of a framework. Our Perth end of celebration, I won't be here, I'll be in India, but it's going to be a big one. There's still a handful of tickets left for the rooftop at the Storehouse in Subiaco on the 2nd of December. Joe Bradbury and Verity James are hosting that. It'll be lots of fun with lots of 3 Drops wines to drink. And then we've got on the 6th of January, Wendy will be online. So if you're around and you want to jump in and check in, that's going to be gorgeous. These cafe conversations are just beautiful opportunities to connect at a really deep level, like we do with the Vida style things. Wendy's also brings her kind of way of doing things that's very aligned with what we're used to. So she's just slotted in so beautifully with this extra online opportunity to connect. Back to business on the 29th of January. I'll be back in town to host that one online. And the 3rd of February is again the February Change Leaders Cafe conversations. There's stuff in our calendar. It's amazing. It's full on. So book in, get into, follow us on Humantics. That's where you'll see everything coming up first. And book in so you don't miss your spots, because we're finding lots of things are being booked out. These are those inner development capacities that are associated with the UN Sustainability Goals. And our last cafe conversation, we had a real deep dive into being. I know for myself, I got a lot out of that. I had a real shift in something that I didn't realize was a part of a story that wasn't serving me around my presence and what I do. I tell you what it was. I busy myself all the time when there's something going on in my family that's a challenge, and I make myself very, very busy. I become super productive and now I feel really good about that, but I'm actually not dealing with the thing. So that was a bit much for me to realize that, and I think I might add some tears online, but that's okay. And how are you going? Perhaps in the chat box, just how you might be landing today. Are you good? You could use an emoji or write a word. But I'm going to hand over to Vida while my puppy barks, the plumber who's obviously just arrived. And I will just leave you guys.
Hello, everybody. Today we're going to be going through our parameters again, and we're doing this a few times because we just want everyone to really understand how these form are the basis of our culture, but also how you can take these parameters into your own lives and spread the ripple effect. We'll be looking at conscious communication, which means radical listening, intentional speaking, and holding space. And we'll do some practice around that. It's one thing to have the knowledge. It's a totally different thing to actually experience it and embody it. And then we'll be having a little play with mindfulness, some practical, simple mindfulness strategies that you can implement into your daily life without adding anything to your to-do list. So building more calmness, emotional resilience, and capacity. So we're going to start off with the guidelines. And the first guideline is be here now. So let's begin with being here now. Let's just take a few moments to make yourself comfortable. See if you can make yourself a little bit more comfortable than what you already are. Comfort is queen. Yeah. And just be still. Notice how you're feeling. Just scan your body for a second. Just notice how your energy is. What are your thoughts like? And how does this body feel in this moment? And then just dropping your shoulders, extending the gap between your chin and your shoulders, allowing the shoulders to soften and relax. And perhaps gently just lifting the corners of your mouth for an internal smile, relaxing all those tiny muscles in your face, allowing the body to calm. Breathing into your belly, nice and slow, deep breaths in and out from the belly. Just being aware of any sensations in the body, any tension or restrictions, and just allowing them to soften and dissipate. Just keeping your attention on your breath, and if your mind wanders, which it will, just gently bring it back. Each time we bring our mind back, each time we return home to the present moment, we are training our mind to be focused and here and now. You may even like to notice what's going on in your mind. You might like to label the wandering as thinking or planning or organizing. So simply notice the shift, the moving away, label it, and return to this very moment. Letting everything drop, soften, feeling your feet connected to the earth. And maybe even taking that internal smile and just opening your heart with that smile, and notice the shift in energy as you do that. Having a heart smile. And then when you're ready, just taking a deep, conscious, deliberate breath in and out, and gently bringing your awareness back to each other. Beautiful. I just feel so different after I ground. It's just such a big part of my life. When as leaders, when we are fully here, free from any distractions, others feel seen, heard, and valued. People feel safe when their voice is valued. And when we give them our full attention, not just our time. So the first parameter is to be here. Be with whoever you're with, be here in this moment. Harvard Business Review did this study, and it was all about leaders that are fully attentive in conversations improve emotional resilience, improve safety, improve psychological safety, and improve team performance. And it makes sense because we all feel good when we're listened to, when somebody's there giving their attention to us. We're in a world now that is really addicted to speed and multitasking. So choosing to slow down is an act of conscious leadership, choosing to be fully here. And it also calms our nervous system, but it calms the people we're with's nervous system as well. And it says, you're safe to be here. So our first parameter is to be here now, be present. Our second is to respect each other's viewpoints of the world, each other's reality. We stand in witness of each other, not in judgment of each other. Every person's view is shaped by their unique experiences, their unique lived experiences, their cultures, their conditionings, their learnings, the influences in their lives. And no one is more valid than another. They're both our experiences and our sense of reality. When we acknowledge each other's difference, it allows us to drop our armor and show up as a real and genuine, because we're safe to be seen as who we are. And sometimes when we're in these situations, we may be triggered, we may become uncomfortable at listening to somebody else's sense of reality. So in those situations, just be mindful. It's a beautiful invitation to acknowledge that what is going on for me, what is being triggered in me. How can this expand my self-awareness of myself? Because it actually has nothing to do with the other person. It's all about you. So respect each other's reality as much as possible. The third one is practice radical listening. First, seek to understand, then to be understood, as Stephen Covey would say. So we listen to the whole person. Listening isn't just about using our ears, it's about using our sight as well. So listen to the words that are spoken and the words that are not spoken. Listen to the body language, the breath, the symbols, the tonality, listening to the whole person. If you're preparing what you're going to say or what you're going to have for dinner, you're not listening. Yeah. And listening doesn't mean that we have to be in agreement. It means honoring another's truth without having to alter our own. So we practice radical listening and we practice speaking in the I language. So I language is the language of responsibility, ownership, accountability. And it is the foundational core of conflict resolution. So it's a very important quality to possess. So we speak from our heart, not just our head. And we speak of our lived experiences, not just our recycled advice. And if you're somebody who speaks very easily and has a lot of valuable things to say, just trust maybe sometimes leaning back a little bit and honoring the spaces between the words, honoring the gaps in a conversation. And if you're somebody that is a little bit more reserved and stays back, trust your presence and let your presence speak for you. We also ask you to be mindful of language that is catastrophizing or exaggerating. These give a really distorted perception of reality. So I'm going to give you a little example of not speaking in the I and then speaking in the I. And I want you to notice the difference and really notice how it makes you feel. So you never listen to me. You always cut me off, and you do it all the time. When I feel unheard, I feel not valued. I would really appreciate that when I'm speaking, that you allow enough time for me to finish so we can both benefit from the conversation. Feel the difference? It's pretty huge. So these things matter for businesswomen. These parameters matter for leaders because they're like a superpower. Whether you're in a boardroom, a team meeting, or navigating a difficult conversations, these parameters open realness without defensiveness. They build trust and emotional safety. They de-escalate conflict before it gets rooted. They encourage vulnerability. They build up teams. They build collaboration, cohesion. They replace fixing, a therapy, and advice giving with listening and being together as equals. It's really extraordinary. And it's the hallmark of conscious leadership. These 4 parameters that are very simple once you practice them, very simple to bring into your own home, listen to your kids radically. Give the example of speaking in the eye, being present, not on your phone when you're speaking to somebody. It's really important qualities. So they're the basis of our foundations. We can share our lived experiences with honor and respect of each other. So now we're going to go on to the next sort of level of these guidelines, which is conscious communication. So conscious communication is about radical listening, which we just talked about, intentional speaking, and holding space. It's like the dance between expression and presence. And we're just going to go through each one of those points, those 3 points, and then we're going to get a chance to practice it. So we really get an understanding of how this feels for us, because so often in everyday conversations, we're actually not really listened to. And we don't necessarily speak of our lived experiences. So this can be a little taxing at times, but what it does, if we experience it here together with this open-mindedness, we get to understand how it feels for us in our own bodies and how we play it out in our own lives. So intentional speaking is the art of speaking with awareness, choosing words that align with our values, our truth, and our desired impact that we want to achieve. It's about using language consciously, purposefully, and deliberately, because every word we speak reveals how we think, and every word we choose has the power to reshape what's possible. And if we are not speaking intentionally, then we are more likely speaking from our unconscious side, where we may be speaking from our memory, which is just our perception of what has happened, not necessarily the reality of what has happened. We may be speaking from our unconscious biases, our patterns, our habits, our conditioning, our emotional states. So when we practice intentional speaking, it asks us to be ready to do that. It asks us to speak honestly, to own our own perceptions without projecting them onto others. It asks us to share a truth in the way that it can be received and understood, not just spoken. It asks us to let your words be clear, grounded, and free from unnecessary drama, and asks us to discern when to speak, when not to speak. And it asks us to let silence be part of the conversation, because it's in those silent moments that clarity rises and ego diminishes. So we are going to get to practice this in a minute. And then the next component is radical listening, which we've basically spoken about. But when we talk about radical listening, as we do in our guidelines, because they're often for events like cheese chats and wines, it's not so much about responding, it's about listening. When we're talking about radical listening in conscious communication, we're talking about speaking to be understood, to develop a deep understanding, not to fix or challenge, but so that it can really understand what the speaker is saying. So we may ask clarifying questions like, can you tell me more about that? What did you mean when you said that? Or we may mirror back what we've heard. What I heard you say was this. So we get a really clear understanding of the intention of the speaker and not just our own understanding of what has been said. And the third is holding space. And this is one of my favorites. So holding space is really about, and it's become quite a buzzword, but I think there's a lot of misunderstanding of what it means. Holding space really means allowing whatever is arising to be just as it is, without having to change, fix, alter, or do anything. It's just allowing whatever is there to be what it is. When we hold space, we step beyond identity and our ego and become clean, empty vessels that can hold the fullness of another's experience. And that could be joy or rage or conflict or confusion or despair. We can hold that way without turning away or grasping for a resolution. When we hold space, we offer no answers, we give no comments. We offer presence. And it's about allowing whatever arises to exist just as it is. And there's different types of space holding. There's surface level space holding, which is more like the interactions you have when you go get a coffee, a check-in, how we're going today. They're valuable, they're important, they deserve our sincerity, but they're lighter level space holding. Then we've got medium level space holding, which is more about, could be some uncertainty, some conflict, some emotion uprising. It could be those little moments when vulnerability slips through the cracks. It could be like in a team meeting or a performance review. And then we have deep space holding. And that's the soul of space holding. And that's where we hold space for trauma, grief, major personal conflicts, the big, heavy stuff. And it doesn't always come in the shape of words. It could just be silence or emotional sounds. So there's 3 types of space holding, and we're going to just play basically with the middle one today. So what we're going to do is we're going to break up into groups, and we're going to have one person is the speaker, one person is a surface listener. Now, a surface listener is somebody who interrupts, someone who gives advice, gives their opinions, and exaggerate it a little bit so we really get to experience it. The third person is a radical listener. So they listen with all their body, they listen to the whole person, and they can ask clarifying questions or mirror back to the speaker. And the fourth one is a space holder. They hold the space. They say there's no comments, no feedback, no responses. They're just holding the space for everybody. So how we do it is the speaker will speak of something that's real for her, something it could be a conflict, it could be some confusion, it could be a transition in life, whatever is real and genuine for her. She's going to speak 2 minutes, and the surface level listener is going to listen, going to interrupt, going to give advice, going to act a little bit more exaggerated than what we do in normal surface level conversations, so that we really get a sense of it. The radical listener in this round is just going to sit there space holding. Right? The space holder continues to space hold. Then with the same speaker, she speaks for another 2 minutes, but this time the surface listener does space holding and the radical listener listens and can mirror back and ask clarifying questions. The space holder continues to be a space holder. So the speaker and space holder don't change in one round, but the surface listener and the radical listener take it in turn. So they do like 2 minutes each. Is that clear? Does that make sense? And then we just move around the rooms, the circle, so everyone has a turn of the 4 positions. Yeah? Okay. And then we'll have a little bit of time for you guys to
Okay, just so that I understand.
Yeah.
So one person in the group of 4 will be a speaker and share something that's going on for them, what's bubbling up.
Yeah.
What I suggest, ladies, is that you be really quick to volunteer for these roles. Otherwise, we could spend time in the roles arguing about who's going to do what. So speaker, 2 minutes, and then they do another round at the second minute. So keep on going, or it could be a new topic, either way.
Yeah, but they're speaking for the 4 minutes. Yeah.
Yeah. And then the surface listener is basically going to be interrupting, advice giving, whatever, adding their bits in there, 2 bobs, doing the bit that that I'm really good at. I'm going to be good at that. And the radical listener will sit space holding. The space holder continues both times space holding, but the surface and the radical listener will be swapping over, so they get that experience of doing it differently.
Exactly.
Excellent. Okay, guys, if you can, just so that I know you're all there, if you can, I'll be putting you all into groups. If you want to take a photo of that, please do. Might be a good idea because that goes off. So, and I'll set you up into breakout rooms with 4 each. And I think that will be how many breakout rooms? Who's good at maths?
How many have we got here? Let me have a look. That'll be 4, 3. There'll be 3. I won't do it then. There'll be 3.
3 breakout rooms.
That's 12 and there's 13.
Hang on, hang on. No, it'll be 4 breakout rooms, sorry.
Well, there's only 13 people.
1, 2, 3,
I put my I'm speaking to you with my camera on, not the voice. Vida, I'm just saying because I'm driving. Maybe I can sit it
I'll
out.
add someone to yours.
Yeah, okay,
and
Sonia.
Sonia's joined, so sorry for being really late. Sorry
That's
about
all
that.
good. That's fine. We'll just do those. I'm going to move Nadia to room 3. So there's 4 in there. And who's on the iPhone?
Sonia's on the phone, but she's not coming in.
Okay, I'll just if there's too many, just have one of you as an observer.
That's what I'm thinking. If you can throw me into somewhere as an observer.
Yeah, I'm throwing you into somewhere.
Thank you.
Sounds good. Good luck, ladies. How long did you want me to put it on for, Veeds? Hey Siri, set the alarm for 5 minutes. Hey Siri, set my alarm for 5 minutes. Okay, where's Kate? One. Okay, they're all in breakout rooms, and I will pause the recording.
A little bit more time. But let's explore what the experience was for you. How did you feel in each of those 4 areas? The speaker, the surface listener, the radical listener, and the space holder. And was there one area that you're more challenged with, or more naturally capable of, or love more? Let's just talk about your experience, because there's a lot in especially the surface dweller.
I'm happy to go first if you like.
Yeah, thanks.
Hi everyone. We didn't get very far through our group, so I was the speaker, and then Nadia and Jenny swapped in their roles, but I didn't get to play a different role. But I was just saying to the ladies that for me, when I was speaking, the surface listener, I felt really judged. I felt like they were taking me off track, and obviously weren't listening, and they were projecting their opinions. So my story was just talking about a transition that I'm going through at the moment. It wasn't a bad transition. It wasn't a good transition. It was just a transition. But from the questions that were asked, it was almost like it felt, and they did on purpose, obviously, but it almost felt like they were trying to solve a problem when I'm kind of sitting there going, I don't have a problem. That was not I didn't have one. So definitely didn't feel heard in that space. And I think if, for me, if it had been real world, I would have said something to the person that was interrupting. Yeah.
Beautiful. Thank you. And that's so in real world, it may not be as exaggerated as what we've just done here, but how often do you have a conversation and you don't actually finish the conversation because someone jumps in and says, I know what you're talking about. My granny's auntie had the same problem and this is what she did. You know, we're so used to people interrupting or having these surface level listening skills that a lot of the time we don't even notice them. So let's go around. Let's all have a share. We can just call out your names if it's easier. Would anyone just like to pop in and share their experience, the difference in the roles?
I'll jump in, Vida. So I was a listener to Rachel talking, but both Vicky and I were listeners, so we swapped on the listening. But from my point of view, when I was trying to interrupt, I felt really uncomfortable interrupting. And I noticed when Vicky was doing it that her interruptions were actually encouraging to tell more. So neither of us actually managed to really go off track because we felt so odd with it, which, you know, I just sort of thought, oh, I'm really trying to interrupt, but I didn't want to interrupt. So then it was just this really surface level, oh, what about? And then I was like, no, I want to come back and let you talk about what you're talking about. So it's very, very funny to try and put it out of your comfort zone.
Yeah, it's really hard. It's really hard to try interrupt, right? Yeah.
Do you want to share?
I'm Nadia. I'm going to go next. So I was one that was asking a lot of the questions and interrupting. Now, in everyday life, what's the balance? Because asking questions kind of shows interest, like you want to ask the person more to show that you are interested in what they're listening and you are listening and you just want to get more information. How do you balance that?
I don't think it's a question of balance so much as environment. Like if you're in a coaching situation, it's very different to if you're just having a conversation with a friend, or if you're in a work environment, it's very different. So that's where the discernment comes in. But asking questions is still about waiting till the person has finished speaking. So there is a gap to ask a question. There is space to ask a question, because interruptions come from us having our agenda, what we want. I want to ask this question. I want to know this, but they're still speaking. Now, often in a work situation, you do need to interrupt if they're going on, and you've got time restrictions and everything. But I don't think there's a balance. I think it really is determined by intentional, what you want to get out of it, where you are, your own discernment. It's like, intentional speaking is about speaking with alignment of what's important to our values. What do we want to get out of here? What's the impact we want to make? And listening, we're listening to their sense of reality, to what's important to them. And then when they have finished sharing with us, then we can ask what questions we need.
Well, Vida,
That is not always the case.
Yeah, Vida, can I I was as you know, because I was driving, I wasn't participating in the actual activity, but I mean, all the women in there were with the person who was the interrupter weren't particularly comfortable to interrupt, right? And normally it's quite subtle. And I think it's more around how you make the person feel, right? Which was what you're talking about, is the intent. Because someone who's interrupting and giving the advice comes a lot more subtly. And so it's really about focusing on what do they need from you, and asking, what do you need from me in this space, before you and what role would you like me? I can do whatever it is, but what do you need from me? And if they can't answer, try and discern what it is they need from you to kind of set the stage for the conversation.
Beautiful. Thank you, Sonia.
That's a really interesting one, because my kids will now say to me, Mum, I just want you to listen. Okay, I'm going to share something with you. Please don't give me any advice, because I'm such a chronic advice giver, fixer. And it's really interesting seeing that they're actually better at this than I am, and they will actually let me know that just to sit back, and I'm trying to be a space holder better, and I do find it hard.
Beautiful.
I think it's like Vida was saying. So for me, I was saying that in work, it's something that I need to do in facilitating. So it's something that I consciously want to hold back and want to listen to understand, so I can help people go where they need to go. But I know that if I'm tired, or I've got stuff, or I'm at home, then I'm worse with my family than I am with anybody else, because we're just jumping over the kids rather than giving them the same. And it's something that over the years I've really sort of thought, gosh, Kerry, why do you give your best to everybody out when the people that are closest to us are the ones that often don't get our best? And this radical listening is, as you were saying, Lynn, so important for our families. And for my daughter and I, who both work in the same, like we both work from home most of the time, and to stop when she comes in and put the computer down so that I can go, all right, what do you need? Or to deflect it and say, I need to finish what I'm doing. Let's talk in 5 so I can be present. But it's something that I've had to work on so hard, because I used to try and go, yeah. And my daughter would call me and she'd go, you're not even listening to me, Mum. And I go, yeah, guilty as charged. And I could give her a word, right? I'd catch every word, and then I go, yeah, but you said. And it was totally not listening and just trying to make myself feel better. So it's been it's a learning, and it's a work in progress for sure.
Hi, it's Rachel here. So I definitely can feel what Carrie say, because my daughter say the same things to me. And then what I do now is, if I've been working on something very important at work, then I have to ask my daughter to, did you mind, you can give me another 10 minutes, let me finish this task first, and then I can be present to listen what you want to share with me. And then just rather than to be locking my head, because I got a complaint a few times from her, which just make me feel really bad. And especially is like always comes from what's your intention, right? Is your intention is like you try to stretch yourself to be both. However, it couldn't be like that's wouldn't be happen like that. And especially we talk about the relationship with our daughter. And this is something I think we set the boundary. This is non-negotiable. We have to be, when we can be able to work what we love, and then we have to be make sure we still spend a good quality time with them. So since then, I learned that by listening, if you complain, just give me another 10 minutes, and then I can focus on your conversation. And yeah, and this is what we do. But very interesting when we at the breakout room, because first I know the girls they try to did a fantastic job about the radical or surface like a listener and try to be interrupt. But because I know we are playing this kind of the role play, then I use a much higher like a putting an effort and energies to make sure myself is in present and I'm not going to be interrupted by anyone. But if in a reality, then definitely it's like such a hard, because I always go for the networking or group sections, then I usually will be put my hands up. Oh, do you mind? I can finish what I haven't been finished yet. So when people's been interrupted, and this is the one things I will be always do as a speaker. But however, to be a radical listener, that's either not easy, because we know how we're going to be play a professional manner in the workplace. And if you have to make like what Vida just say, sometimes we do say, oh yeah, my granny, my grandmom or other relevance, and you want to share your experience, that's a fantastic. Then, but when you consciously, you know that even you share your own experience, then you will be interrupt others. Then I have to be keep it in mind, hold my mouth, hold my mouth, even I've got a relevant experience. And but thanks for the role play experience. That's very, very interesting. And yeah.
Thank you. Thank you, Rachel. The listening, like how did anyone feel it challenging just to listen and say nothing, to be the space holder? Because it's still all about intent. If we want to give advice, if we want to interrupt, well, in our story, what's important to us and not in their story. Whereas as a space holder, you have to listen to all this, watch all this, and just be present and do nothing. And that, to me, can be quite challenging. So anyone had that issue, that space holding was challenging?
No, I found, sorry.
No, go for it.
Yeah, I didn't find it challenging because it was such an engaging conversation to watch. And I could see when people were being intentionally interrupting and when people really just wanted to listen. And so, no, I suppose I do a lot of space holding in my job, actually. So I didn't find it difficult. But in real situations, I would find it more difficult because sometimes I find some people talking over other people and I have to actually make space for the person who's waiting to talk. So as a facilitator, it's being intentional. And sometimes I even time people. I give them, you've got 2 minutes. But yeah, it's harder in real life. This group was beautiful. I could watch it all day. It was fun.
I was just going to say, in my work life, I generally don't speak up in meetings because I really like to listen and hear what's happening. And it takes, I like to take time to actually respond, probably because I'm an introvert more than I'm an extrovert. And I really find most meetings are not run in such a way that allows people like me to thrive. So one of the things that I experience, so I'm the chair of a not-for-profit board, and we use, what is it called? Whatever it's called, I can't remember, but it's just a way of actually, it's kind of an official process that everyone gets time to say something, and they have a response, and then they have a kind of time for reflection. So that really means that everyone gets time to speak. I find it in personal life
much more difficult, because I think particularly in my family where it's almost like you're competing for airtime. And I don't compete. I refuse to compete. So if people don't want to hear what I've got to say, I just, I'll just leave, remove myself. And maybe that's not the best way of dealing with it, but otherwise it just kind of ends up in sort of everyone sort of trying to shout over each other. And yeah, I tend to leave.
It's really interesting holding space for those that have different or don't have the same conscious awareness of communication. They just don't have it. I have 3 sisters and 3 brothers, and if you disagree with the restaurant they choose or the movie they got, they just think you're ballistic. It's taken me a lot of training, thank God I've had a lot of training, for me just to sit and have no reaction to that, because that's their sense of reality, not mine, and they can't see my sense of reality. But I can see theirs. So it's that having that compassionate side. Like if I was to argue with them, it's just my agenda and my ego. Like, really, who cares?
Yeah, that's right. Yeah.
Beautiful.
Okay.
Anyone else like to share their experience?
Just jump in there. Or go, Sarah. I'll come up.
Sorry, no, you go. Hello, my name is Sarah. I think this is the first time that I join an event with Business Women Australia. So I guess nice to meet you all. Yes, it was really challenging to interrupt, and I was really I was hesitating. I don't like when people do it to other people, whether it's me or other people. Like I feel the pain, and I'm like, no, please, no. So it was really difficult. It wasn't challenging to be a space holder. I guess sometimes both in business and in life, like I don't know what to say, but we have to, I guess based on the situation and what's happening and who's talking and all of that, you have a different role, right? Sometimes, of course, without interrupting, without being that aggressive as we experienced in the rooms before. Sometimes people are asking for advices, or sometimes they are just asking for you to listen. And so I guess it's tricky sometimes, but it was a good exercise to experience these different roles. Thank you.
Thank you. I think it's come up a bit like in the work environment and then in a different environment, how the skills are different. But really, I find this really perplexing that we're the same people, whether we're at work or whether we're home or wherever we are. We might show different attributes of ourselves depending on the needs and the outcome we want, but we're still the same person. So it's like using the same conscious skills wherever you go is the way for me to bring greater peace into my life, and not have one identity here and one identity there. And with the main reaction that I'm hearing is the reaction of being the interrupter, the surface level listener. And so we all really, that was highlighted because it's exaggerated, right? So we all had some reaction to that, or most of us did. But in everyday life, we're kind of a little bit desensitized to it. So unless it's really loud and obvious, it can easily go by unnoticed. And it's about becoming aware of when we do that, when I do that. Like I notice, and it was said already, when I am more tired, Kerry said, thank you, Kerry, when I'm tired or I'm out of whack, I can be all the things that I don't want to be. And when I'm in that state, I'm not as conscious, I'm not aware. So I don't even know I'm doing it half the time, unless somebody tells me. So it's one thing to say, I've got these skills when I'm aware and I'm conscious and I'm in alignment and it's all going the way I want it to do. But it's another thing to have them when you're not in that space, when you're a little bit discombobulated or out of whack. And That's where I think the magic comes in. So doing this exaggerated just highlights what's really going on, so that when those situations come up again, we will notice them and become more aware. And it's only through the awareness that we can make changes. Cool. So we could just go on. How much longer we got? Oh, yeah, we've got 15 minutes. So we could just go on and do a little bit about mindfulness, because we wanted to carry some mindfulness, and it's very related to what we've just experienced. So the first thing is, what is mindfulness? It's such a buzzword, you know, organizations around the world are using it, employing people, making mindfulness rooms, but what the hell is it? Does anyone want to share? Or okay, I'll just go on. Go.
Being present in the moment and being aware of what's going on around you, but actually being present to, you know, conscious of what's going on around you, and being, yeah, that's what I mean. Yeah, that's what I would say it is.
Yeah, and you're very on track, but it's a little bit more than that. So it's like it's being paying attention to your attention. It's mindfulness is awareness, right? It's the awareness that arises when we intentionally pay attention to the present moment without judgment. So with an attitude of loving kindness. So there's an intention, attention, attitude, and action. There's 4 pillars of mindfulness. And it's a metacognitive power to observe our own thoughts and our emotions and become aware of our awareness. It's a higher order thinking skill that is essential for conscious leadership today, really becoming aware of it. So when we do this little exercise, only take a minute, I want you to put your attention on the big toe on your right foot. Okay, now just let yourself relax and notice what is going on with your big toe on your right foot. Maybe there's some sensations you can feel, some stirring, some tingling. Maybe it's cold or hot or heavy or light. Just notice what is happening in your big toe on your right foot. And then shifting your attention to the bottom of your left foot, the part of your foot touching the earth, the ball of your foot, the arch of your foot, your heel. And notice any sensations or feelings in that area. And how do these feelings compare to the toe? Just willing to observe. And then just bring your attention back here. So before we had an intention to put your attention on your toe and your foot, you had no idea what was going on there. So mindfulness is deliberate. There is an intention to be more mindful. There's an intention to listen more. There's an intention to hold space, because the intention sets the stage for what is possible, and it directs your attention. And your attention is what brings your intention alive. So everything is energy, you know, wherever your attention flows, so does your energy. Your energy went to your foot and your toe. Now you have information about your foot and the toe, not that you probably even need that information, but energy flows where your attention goes. And energy is information. Everything in existence is energy vibrating at different frequencies, giving us information. If you've ever been into a room and everything looks fine when you walk in the room, but the minute you look at them, you know there's been a conflict or a fight or something, but no one said a word. Or you're in a room and someone walks in and everyone's looking at them because they have so much presence and such energy that it's attractive and wonderful. Yeah? So energy is information and it matters. So our ability to pay attention is being hijacked. There's, I'm just going to read some of these to you. It's being hijacked. So we are suffering what's called attention residue. So this is the unprocessed emotional and mental clutter that lingers on when we switch from one task or one interaction to another without completing the one beforehand. Right? And so you might physically show up in the meeting or the board, but your energy and your thinking is somewhere else. It's like having a dozen apps open. It depletes your bandwidth, your energetic bandwidth. And it reduces your decision-making ability, causes confusion, reduces creativity, innovation, and a lot more. Linda Stone from Google, I think she is, coined this phrase, CPA, continuous partial attention. And it drains our emotional reserves, depleting our leadership quality. You know, the wandering mind is an unhappy mind. 47% of the time, our attention is somewhere else, not on what we're doing. It's costing organizations and businesses thousands, millions, because no one's focused on what they're doing. Multitasking and information overload cause the brain to burn glucose and oxygen supply quickly, leading to decision fatigue, reduced creativity, and impaired focus. And the brain drain study says, I love this one, that if you have your smartphone on your bench, on your table, wherever you're working, even if it's turned upside down, you're not looking at it at all, it is affecting your performance. It is draining your energy because your subconscious mind is monitoring that phone. The same is true if you get a notification or something. Even if you don't respond to it, you don't do anything, your subconscious mind has gone to it and is draining your reserves, depleting your energy and taking up resources that could be used for something else. It's really quite amazing. It just does my head in. So each time we're in a deep focus and we lose our attention, we get interrupted or disrupted, it takes around 23 minutes to come back to that same level of deep focus. So mindfulness builds our ability to pay attention to our attention. It calms the unruly qualities of our brain so we can be more present. And I think as a conscious leader, our presence is our most powerful currency. Yeah, so, and the thing about mindfulness is it's not just about paying attention, it's how we pay attention. So just think about this to yourself. What did you say to yourself when you first woke up this morning? You're in bed, your eyes go boom. What did you say to yourself? What did you say to yourself when you put your feet on the ground? Or when you looked at yourself in the mirror? Or when you went to your wardrobe to find something to put on? You had your first coffee? When you got in the car? When you arrived at work? What have you been saying to yourself in here? What is your self-talk like? Is it kind and loving? Is it lifting you up, energizing you? Or is it a burden, a stress? Is it draining your energy? Is it pulling you down? So your attitude is how we pay the attention. And we want to pay attention with a loving, kind attitude, free of judgment. So we've got intention, attention, and attitude. And last but not least, we've got action. Because without action, it's all just theory, and theory doesn't change the world. Action does. So mindfulness practices are very, very simple practices. You can get into a meditation that takes ages, or you could just pause for a minute. Just stop. We've done this already. Just stop and be still and notice how you feel. I have an app. It was a great app. It's called the Mindfulness Bell. And my app goes off. I just changed it to intermittent. So my app will go off between 20 minutes and 90 minutes. And that's what I have it for. It's just to stop and pause for a moment. Just check in. Where am I? But I have the intention to do that. So I'm putting my attention on my intention with an attitude of loving kindness and taking the action needed. So like what could you do to create more mindfulness practices in your day? Yeah, there's so many things we all can do. We can walk mindfully, we can talk mindfully, we can eat mindfully. We can be present just by saying, I'm going to be present. It's just so simple, it costs nothing. And it doesn't have to be a lot of time. You know, the amount of people I have say to me things like, yeah, I tried meditation because I'm a big meditator. I tried meditation, it didn't work for me. And I always say things so like, did you try driving and it didn't work when you first started? Or did you try, you know, swimming and it didn't work when you first started? It's exactly the same. You've got to put in the time, but do it at increments that work for you. You know, we have 60 to 70,000 thoughts a day. That's a lot of thinking. Most of those thoughts are the same thoughts you had yesterday. So if they're negative or unresourceful, they're releasing cortisol and adrenaline into your system, activating the sympathetic nervous system, your flight or fight response, which is a great system for short spurts. But otherwise, you're putting yourself in a state of stress. Your blood pressure's rising, your heart rate increases, your muscles get ready to pounce, all because of a thought. It's just a thought. Yeah. So let's go back. What did you say to yourself today? What are you doing to your physical body today? And then if you have thoughts that are uplifting, resourceful, empowering, joyous, positive, then you activate your parasympathetic nervous system. You rest, restore. You know, you feel good. So just thought watching is a great practice. You could have your reminder, your trigger, whatever your trigger is, and just stop and notice what your thinking's like for 10 seconds, 20 seconds, 30 seconds. What am I thinking? Because having awareness, you've got to practice to get to know yourself again, to know thyself, know thyself. And we think we know thyself. Like, I think I've got it. Tara Hewitt has got this book out at the moment. It's called Insight. So her and her team, she's an organizational psychologist. Her and her team did this massive study, and they found that 95% of people think they are self-aware, which means they know what's going on the inside. They know their biases, they know their triggers, they know their strengths, their weaknesses, they know everything about themselves. They also know self-awareness means you also can step into the shoes of someone else, look through their eyes and see yourself, see how other people perceive you. So 95% of people think they're self-aware. But in reality, it's only 10 to 15% of people are self-aware. We think we know, but we're not experiencing the know. We're up in our heads, we're not in our hearts, where the understanding of self comes from. So mindfulness expands our awareness. And the more awareness we have, the more self-aware we become, and the more choices we have, and the more deliberately we are in reshaping our lives, our businesses, and our interactions in the world. So I was going to take you through all these practices, but we're just about out of time. So let's just see if anyone's wants to share anything. Did it trigger anything for you? Or how would you check out today from this session?
Yeah, I think it'd be good to have everyone check out.
Yeah.
Be a great way to round it up. Thank you so much, Vida. Great masterclass. I'll check out first. I'm feeling very aware that I've had an opportunity over the last couple of weeks to really practice my radical listening, my holding space, and I haven't done it particularly well. And I've felt a sense of urgency to try and save my son, and it is not serving him and it's not serving me, and I'm going to draw a line in the sand and be conscious. I'm going to have an intention to be able to hold space without judgment and even let go of curiosity. Just hold space fully for him going forward. I'll throw over to Kate.
Hi guys, I normally talk a lot and I haven't talked at all. So that was a good thing. And just reflecting on being here for the hour and saying very little is unusual for me. And that in itself, I believe, is something I'll think about over the next 24 hours and just reflect on that as a skill that's unusual for me. So thank you very much, Vida, and apologise for being a little late, but I really enjoyed it. So thank you.
Over to Jenny. Do you want to unmute? No. Yes.
Sorry, my microphone. Such inspiring to talk about this. I have two childs, 3 and 5 years old. So being present is so hard. It's so hard. Thank you for inspiring us, because I guess when you are mom and also businesswoman and everything is starting, no? Because I'm starting like mom and businesswoman, have these reflections about your life and how you manage your life as well is fantastic. Thank you so much, Vida. I'm such happy to be here today. It's my first time, so I can't express all my feelings now because it's a lot of information, but thank you. Thank you so much, Lai.
Thank you, Jenny. Over to Kathy Turner.
My intention after today's masterclass is to work more on holding space in different environments. Can do it very well in a workspace, not so much at home. So that will be my goal for, well, until I get better and better at it.
Thanks, Kathy. Over to Sada.
I am feeling calm. My intention for coming here today is that I knew I'd be surrounded by beautiful women from whom I could learn a lot. I've had quite a few challenges this year, and my intention is to pay attention to the right things and continue growing. And Vida, your reflection that we're the same person at work and as at home, I'm sort of toying with that because sometimes I think I let people see different parts of me when I feel safe. So interesting, and thank you. Learned so much. It's great to be here. Thank you.
Thanks, Sada. Vicky Wu.
Thanks, Vida and Lynn. Give us opportunity to learn deeper. I think mindfulness, just like practice your muscle, just spend time. And what I did is every morning, I give myself 5 minutes to practice. From 1 minute, 2 minutes, and slowly increase. Talking about the listening, I get training by my 2 daughters. They're adult now. I just not listen when they're young. Now there's 29, 34. I learn from them and being criticized by them or advised by them. Now, yeah, I just practice from my daughter. That's it. Yeah, you guys since young, and then if young mom, you can do it. Just little bit. Thank you.
Thank you. Justine Robbins.
Hi, everyone. This is my first time coming today, so thank you for having me. I think my reflection out of today is I think I'm very good at holding space and I think I do it all the time, for people who communicate like I do. So I'm quite direct, quite to the point, quite concise. And I think what came up for me today was being really conscious and aware when people don't communicate like I do. So I will listen and I will focus, and I've heard you, and now you've repeated it for the third time, and now I'm losing with you, and I just want you to shut up, kind of is going on in my head. So therefore I'm out of listening and I'm into my head. So I think that's the piece for me that I really want to focus on is, you know, everybody communicates differently. And how do I stay present and listen the whole way? Because often if they're saying it for the second and third time, maybe they don't feel they've got it across. So maybe there is another nuance that I should be listening for. So I think that's the piece for me that I really am going to focus on for the next couple of weeks. Thank you.
Justine. Dr. Kate Ringvale.
That was gold, Justine. I think clearly I also struggle with that. I know the thing that I struggle with is the patience to hear everyone, because for whatever reason I hear what they're trying to say before they've said it, because to me it seems really obvious, and so I get really impatient. You know, come on, get it out. So yeah, so I obviously need to really practice that patience and let people say, particularly my husband. I think it's a challenging one. So thank you for giving us all that opportunity to learn new things today.
Thanks, Kate. Over to Sarah.
I relate a lot to what Justine and Kate just said. And sometimes, especially in the business environment, this happens when I'm busy. So there's no time. Every single minute is precious. And maybe I tend to jump a bit ahead, recognizing patterns from people, or and this is a great reminder of making some more time in general for people to speak and for me to listen, and but also for me to take one thing at a time, because sometimes there's so much on the table and you don't realize that you're like jiggling through things. And actually it was really interesting to listen about multitasking and all of that we have to be multitasking nowadays, but it's not necessarily the best, the most efficient, the best thing for us. And it's interesting to reflect on those things, and makes you aware that you can try little things to change. Thank you.
Thanks, Sarah. Over to Kerry Nopes.
It's been a great session. Thanks, Vida. I think that for me, when I've had a pretty rough couple of months, and so I've been a bit scattery, and it's just nice to stop and to reset. So I think that's been really useful. So thank you.
Thanks, Kerry. And have we got on the iPhone, are you able to unmute yourself and check out with what's bubbling up for you as you leave? Or have we lost you off the iPhone?
One of the ladies that was in our group said she was in hospital with her son and she was on an iPhone and she couldn't speak. So I'm not sure if it was
that would be the case. Okay, thank you. Over to you, Vida, just to wrap up. Thank you so much, ladies, for being here. And this is my last event for the year. I'm going on long service leave with Simon. I'll be in KL, then India and Vietnam for Christmas, and then back on the tours at the end of January. But you're all in good hands. There's lots going on. There's things in the calendar even while I'm away. So thank you so much for your support of women all around the nation, and your support in getting involved and engaged with Business Women Australia and what we're all about. Thank you.
Enjoy, Lynn.
Thanks,
Have
Lynn.
fun.
Vida, final
Thanks, Vida.
Yeah, I just want to say thank you to everyone, and to recognize that mindfulness, like conscious communication is a mindfulness practice as well. And it's all about just making things that are simple and easy to integrate into life that do not feel like another task to do. And
Yeah.
it's those tiny little cracks that create huge results. And I've seen it in BWA. We've changed the whole culture just by these parameters. So
Yeah.
I feel very blessed to be here. And my takeaway for me is just getting back to another practice that I haven't been doing lately. And because that helps me to focus on what's most important for my day. And it's always only one thing. So yeah, thank you. Gorgeous. Thank you,
so much.
ladies.
If you're
Thanks,
not
everyone.
connected to me on Facebook, connect to me on Facebook because I'm going to be putting up lots of amazing photos.
Woo.
Yay.
All
Have
right.
fun.
See you all. Thank you.
See you,
Thank
everyone.
you.
I'm old
Bye.
school. I'm not very good with Instagram or Twitter or TikTok.
Have a great trip overseas, and we'll look forward to seeing you in the news probably then.
Hopefully not in the news.
You
There's
want the
some,
news,
there's some
Lee?
stuff going on over there. No.
Have some fun.
The BWA locked up for playing up too much.
No, hopefully not on the news. Not on the news.
I love that. Hopefully not on the news. Getting carted off to jail. Drug mule. Businesswomen Australia.
Oh no! Don't do
No,
that.
I'm
To
going
me.
to pack my own suitcase.
Yes, absolutely. Bye. Have a great trip.
Thank
Nice
you.
to see you, Sarah.
Nice to see you, Kerry.
See
Bye,
you.
Lynn. Take care.
Bye. Thank you for being here.
Bye.
Bye.
Who have we got here?
I don't know.
Oh,
Someone
God.
Hang on.
So